Yeah, I should break up your follow ground and straighten your crooked ways. Blessed is the man who walking on the account of the ungodly. Till I see I live it every time. Me sing after me from Jamaica to foreign control. Preaching, teaching the people for sure.
Behold, it's so good and no present to participate in the mission to investigate and push off identity. It's like a precious ointment from the earth to the ears. He's the ear and beard on the world of the God.
This link now is Ethiopia, and the link man, that representative man, that son of man that was sent to us was Dr. Malaku Bayen, or Dr. Malaku Emmanuel Bayen, or Bayen as some would say. He was that Ethiopian emissary to Black America. Now, William Randolph Scott, you may have heard of William Randolph Scott. He had wrote an article some years ago, and we'd like to share, you understand, that with you all. So everyone, you know, get ready and let's get into it. William Randolph Scott, he wrote some years ago, I think back in maybe the 40s or the 50s, and this is part of the article that he wrote, and it's entitled Malaku Bayen, Ethiopian Emissary to Black America. That's the title of the article right there. He says, although it is generally known, a considerable amount of public interest, sympathy, and condemnation generated throughout the world by Italy's blatant act of aggression against Ethiopia in October 1935 emanated from Black communities in the United States. As the distinguished Black historian John Hope Franklin has indicated, quote, when Italy invaded Ethiopia, they, Afro-Americans, protested with all the means at their command. Almost overnight, even the most provincial among the American Negroes became international minded. Ethiopia was regarded as a Negro nation, and its destruction would symbolize the final victory of the white man over the Negro, end quote. While widespread Afro-American interest in the Italo-Ethiopian War was concentrated in Harlem, New York, longtime intellectual and cultural center of Black America, it was mainly there that Afro-Americans, sometimes in conjunction with liberal and radical whites, organized dozens of groups designed to raise both morale and material assistance for the Haile Selassie government in the United States. Motivated largely by their racial identification with the Ethiopians and the long-standing symbolic importance of that country in the Black American community, these pro-Ethiopian societies had succeeded by the winter of 1935 in mobilizing significant levels of morale, if not monetary, support for the Ethiopian cause. The sad truth of the matter was that while there were substantial numbers of sympathetic Afro-Americans quite willing to contribute financially to the Ethiopian war effort, there were exceedingly few at the time who possessed the means to do so. The Great Depression of the 1930s made it inordinately difficult, indeed impossible, in perhaps most instances for an aroused but impoverished Afro-American people to assist materially the beleaguered Ethiopians. Nevertheless, there is evidence that despite the increased economic constraints imposed upon them by heightened poverty, many Afro-Americans, enraged by Italy's assault on the world's last remaining bastion of Black power, managed somehow to make small contributions to organizations purporting to be raising funds for the Ethiopian cause. Admittedly, such donations were usually minute sums, but they should not be scoffed at or summarily dismissed as being of no significance. Taken as a whole, these amounts may well have attained an impressive total, which certainly would have been of some, if not decisive, benefit to the Ethiopians. Unfortunately, prior to 1937, when the newly created Ethiopian World Federation assumed official control of all fundraising activities in the United States. Only a limited percentage of even these modest contributions seems to have reached its proper destination. From the very outbreak of hostilities, black embezzlers and racketeers sought to take advantage of Afro-American sympathy for the Ethiopian people. These criminals gave the public impression that they were collecting funds for Ethiopia's defense. But in reality, of course, they were lining their own pockets. In addition, some responsible organizations and individuals may have engaged in faulty business practices or even have mismanaged funds. To remedy this situation and more effectively coordinate the efforts of the myriad pro-Ethiopian organizations in New York, a number of public-spirited black citizens in Harlem formed the Menelik Club sometime around 1936. But active group desired to integrate all of the existing Ethiopian aid societies into one organization officially recognized by the Ethiopian authorities. To the surprise of many skeptics, the efforts of the club actually culminated in the sending of a black American delegation to England in the summer of 1936 to confer directly with the exiled Haile Selassie about financial matters. The mission consisted of 3 prominent Harlem figures, all leaders of the black organization known as the United Aid for Ethiopia. Reverend William Lloyd Imes, pastor of the prestigious St. James Presbyterian, Philip M. Savory, chairman of the Victory Insurance Company and co-owner of the New York Amsterdam News, and Mr. Cyril M. Phillip, secretary of the United Aid. In August 1936, the trio sailed without fanfare for England. Despite later rumors that he had rebuffed a black delegation in London, the Ethiopian emperor cordially received the Afro-American party at his residence in Bath. During the audience, the black Americans informed the monarch that large sums of money had been and were still being raised in the United States by unauthorized persons in the name of Ethiopia. They stressed the necessity of sending a special emissary to America to direct the collection of all contributions and to help awaken flagging Afro-American support for the Ethiopian cause. Impressed, Haile Selassie decided to dispatch an envoy to the United States. He selected his personal physician, Dr. Malaku Bayen, for the new position. Later events were to prove that the emperor could not have made a better choice. Son of Gerazmach Baron Bayen and Waziro Lady Desta, Malaku Bayen was born on April 29, 1900 in Wollo province in central Ethiopia. At 6 months of age, he was taken by his parents to the city of Harar, where he grew up in the palace of Ras Grand Duke Tafari Makanu, his mother's first cousin and the future emperor of Ethiopia. In accordance with the aristocracy's custom of educating and training likely young boys for positions of leadership, young Bayen was placed under the tutelage of his prominent and powerful relative and taught by priests attached to the Rastafari Palace.
Still there is something for you.
During these years, Bayen lived close to